welcome back. Today we'll cover chapter 15. Chapter 15 is about place, the fourth part of the marketing mix. We already covered the product and the price and the promotion in chapters 12, 13 and 14. For place, we're going to talk about distribution channels and their advantages and disadvantages, and e-commerce. In my slide here, I just have a summary of everything, but in your book, the details are there, so you can just cover the material from your book. Okay, so when I talk about place, of course, it's an important part of marketing mix. As you know, it's where the consumers will see my product and buy it. So I have to find a suitable place that can be accessed by my consumers, and of course, the more places to buy the product from, the easier it is to buy this product. So this will vary, of course, depending on the product and depending on the business itself and many other conditions. So we have to choose the channel of distribution or the way of selling the product. It's how the product gets from the producer to the final consumer. We have mainly 4 channels. So first, when I say producers, they are the manufacturers, they are the producers of the product, and of course this product will reach consumers. How? By usually 3 ways. The first way is when the business sells directly to consumers, and this is not the case in all products. And you know, some products nowadays are sold directly to consumers if possible, but most of the businesses now, they cannot sell to consumers directly. So for example, bread could be sold immediately to a customer. However, some businesses also, they just use middlemen like retailers to reach consumers. But still, it's a channel of distribution where consumers can buy directly from manufacturers. A second channel of distribution could be when retailers are involved. Retailers are those who buy from the business and just sell to consumers. When I talk about retailers, we call them in business middlemen. So retailers are called middlemen. Just keep in mind, like every time there is a middleman, more middlemen, that means less profit for producers and more prices on consumers. So that's why when you buy directly from a manufacturer, you see the product has a low price. This is clear because less middlemen will have a lower cost on the producer, and that's why they charge lower prices. So here I can just sell to retailers. Retailers are the outlets that can sell goods to final consumers. These retailers usually sell in small quantities. It's common, of course, in jewelries, furniture, for example, and many other products. Channel of distribution 3, where an important middleman is involved. We call them the wholesalers. Wholesalers are those who buy in bulk or large quantities from the producers. It's very important to understand their role, because wholesalers are widely used by producers to reach a lot of retailers. So if I'm talking about a business that sells, let's say, detergent, for example, of course they will use wholesalers because their products should be available everywhere. So I have to use wholesalers, and the wholesalers will be responsible for selling to all retailers, and of course retailers will sell to consumers. And channel distribution for that involves agents. Agents are used when usually I sell a product in another country or maybe in the same country, but I need an agent, a person who has a knowledge in the market, and of course this business helps the producers to sell in the country. So sometimes they are responsible for distributing the products to wholesalers, and then wholesalers to retailers and consumers. So as I said, more middlemen means less profit for producers and more prices on the consumers. Advantages and disadvantages, I suggest just go back to page 191 and 92 in your book. This is the book I'm using. It's easy to tell, as I said, that consumers will enjoy low prices if they buy directly from manufacturers. The advantage of using wholesalers, they will distribute your goods to more than one retailer. Usually they know all the retailers and they can distribute them. They will hold your stock and they will buy in large quantities from the business. Many advantages and disadvantages of using wholesalers and buying directly from manufacturers. At the end of this slide, I have some papers so you can go back and check the mark scheme and see the type of questions they ask usually on this chapter. Okay, and methods of distribution, just understand that the businesses use several methods. You see supermarkets, you might see superstores, discount stores. These just examples. And one of the most important ways nowadays that businesses use usually is e-commerce. E-commerce is just electronic commerce or electronic trading using internet as a way of selling. So nowadays we can buy and sell online using websites, either company websites or different websites nowadays, like Amazon, for example, a famous one. We can buy products, everything we can buy it directly from the business itself, or we can buy it just online. So many businesses now, they use this way, especially nowadays the use of apps and the use of internet, of course, and social media. So it's easy for businesses to communicate, and it's easy for people to ask for products and buy products. Okay, when I say e-commerce, so it's using internet and technologies, of course, to market and sell products and services. Many examples, and of course every one of us use internet to buy. We can book online, we can make auto reservations, we can buy several products. E-commerce has a lot of opportunities and threats to both businesses and consumers. And again, if you go back to your book, there is a table in page 194. You can find the opportunities for e-commerce to both businesses and consumers. Anyways, if I'm talking about a business, of course, it will help me using internet. It will help me to increase my market, and it will help me to reduce my cost. Remember, I might need less shops or maybe less people to employ, and I might have better information. Using the internet will provide me with better information and provide my consumers with better information about my products. Remember, in promotion we said we can use the websites usually to promote, so this is a good way for the business. However, we have of course threats. Competition number one, as many businesses use online trading nowadays, and not everyone is familiar with online purchases, and still it has some disadvantages related to security, for example, and this is what we have or what we consider as a disadvantage when we talk about consumers. For consumers, for us, of course, it's convenient. We can just buy anytime we want. We have a wider choice usually. Because of competition, consumers enjoy lower prices, and they can know many information about the product without going to any store, just online from home. However, we can talk about disadvantages of using internet, like fraud or hacking. There is no personal service. You cannot touch the product. Sometimes it's hard to return the products, especially if you're buying it from other countries. So in the table that you have in your book, it summarizes all these. Usually questions about e-commerce, they try to ask about the advantages and disadvantages for businesses and consumers. Most likely they will ask about businesses. So make sure to read the question first to understand they are talking about e-commerce and its advantages and disadvantages with respect to who, if consumers or businesses. How to select the right channel of distribution? As I said at the beginning, it will vary, so I cannot say all the businesses will use the same ways. It depends on the product. It depends if it's very technical. I need to have a direct contact with customers. For example, is it expensive? It's cheap. For example, it should be fresh. It's perishable. Like I have to. It should be in the market and has an expiry date, like fresh milk, for example. The location of my customers and competitors and many more things will state which channel of distribution to use. And of course, I can use several channels of distribution, depends on my product. In the past papers, I noticed the type of questions while preparing my paper one booklet. I noticed that they asked about the advantages and disadvantages to producers of having wholesalers. This is important, and advantages to a business of buying directly from a manufacturer or buying from a wholesaler. And I saw these sample questions, of course, in past papers. You can check them. Winter 2013 question paper 2-1, and winter 2016 question paper 1-2, and winter 2015 question paper 1-2 as well. You can check questions related to chapter 15 and check the mark scheme to find the answers, because the answers are always the same, especially when we talk about advantages and disadvantages of buying from a wholesaler or buying directly from manufacturer, or advantage to the business of using wholesalers. They are always the same, and almost the analysis is always the same. Okay, so try to check them and study the tables in your book as well. Okay, that's all for chapter 15. See you in other chapters. Thank you for listening, and bye-bye.